Welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Omar with his fantastic feature film, African Giants. Let's take a look at the clip.
If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants.
Fadigu?
Living a dream right now, bro. I'm really proud of you, man.
Thank you, man.
You know, things don't just work out for everybody else, but for you,
I don't care about the money.
You don't care about the money! You sound exactly like Dad right now. You're the reason I know I can do this. No, you can't. I can!
We are African.
We are giants. We are African giants.
Omar, firstly, welcome to the New Filmmakers Los Angeles family. We'll never let you go now, that's it. No, you're amazing, and I got so many questions about your film, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, absolutely. African Giants is a film about me and my brother, and I think one of the greatest compliments that people have told me is like that it feels like a love story between brothers, which is what I think it is.
Yeah.
But it's about these two brothers and the shifting dynamic of brotherhood when they're trying to figure themselves out as young adults, trying to make it in Los Angeles. So over the course of the weekend, new truths are revealed about them, their situations, their family dynamics, their history, and it's just a very personal coming-of-age story that I'm proud to share.
Oh, I mean, goodness me, you should be proud, Omar. Like, I mean, I was just transfixed on these two brothers, just this story, just the journey they both go on individually and together. And, I laughed, I cried, I was just so many different moments in there. Obviously, again, I think it's always commendable that you're, taking sort of personal elements from your own experience and then putting that into the context of a film. That's not always easy. There's a lot of, experiences that you've got yourself, but then you've got to develop these characters and everything else that comes with it. So when was that sort of moment for you that you're like, I want to turn this into a film, and how did that unfold? When was that moment for you, Omar?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting because I had a film. My thesis film was called Mass Ave, which is about me and my dad. All my films are about me and my family members. So this one was about me and my dad. I actually was developing a feature version of that film that was at a little bit of a higher budget level. And my whole plan was like, oh, I'm going to be like Pariah or one of these beautiful films that did a short and then did the feature. Yeah. That was my goal. And after kind of going around town and hitting the pavement with it for a while, I just realized how difficult it is for someone to give you the financing that we needed at that level. Yeah. And I didn't want to wait. I got kind of frustrated with waiting for someone to say yes to me. And I was really inspired by Barry Jenkins and Destiny on Cretton, who did these micro budget feature films before they did Moonlight and Short Film 12. And I was like, I don't want to wait for someone to give me an opportunity. I want to go make something. And so I knew I had to make something that could be contained, that could be done on a low budget. And there was just this one moment in my life that happened, which is actually the climax of the film, where the older brother, who is kind of pretending that he has his life together, is at a very, he's down on his luck. He's at a very bad moment and not in the best light. And his little brother, who he's supposed to be an example for, who he's supposed to be a hero for, actually takes care of him. And that moment was a true event that happened to me and my brother, and it meant the world to me because, my mom told me when I was very young, she said, be careful how you behave. Your little brother's watching you. You're his hero. So I kind of, since I was 9, had that weight under me of like, oh my God, I have to be an example and everything. And then in this moment when I wasn't, my little brother actually ended up being my hero and taking care of me. And that was the seed of the idea for African Giants. So that climax is true. You talked about it is true, and it really is what happened. And I think I wanted to use that as a jumping off point to talk about, first generation experiences, being a child of immigrants. And so this was the best medium to do so because I did it with no constraints because it was just, of course, besides financial, but me and my producer raised the money, we shot the film. So it's really like, it was the film that I wanted to make without any interference, which was really nice.
No, I mean, and well done for not letting anything stand in your way and going out and making a brilliant film in the process as well. Again, there's such a dynamic between, an older and a younger sibling, and, in this particular instant, in this particular family, in this particular of their experiences with their mother and their father and their dynamic and where their parents have come from as well. It was so lovely to see this, perspective of these, first generation parents of immigrants. We don't really see enough stories, particularly families that have come from, well, in this case Sierra Leone, but come all the way across here, then delving into the United States of America, which is a whole nother facet. Like, was that something, obviously it's coming from your experience, but like also the awareness of putting in the dialogue some very, very important conversations that I think was very important actually for the audience to take in as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what I love about saying like this is the perfect medium to do that. You know, it's like a mumblecore style film. It's mostly dialogue. Some people have said it's like a play. It's like a play that I filmed, and I really think that that medium allows you to have these two actors have these conversations.
Yeah,
and I mean, we have some real conversations in the film about you know some of the pain that comes with that. You know, like I think there's a whole conversation about them being bullied for being African growing up. All the insults that they talk about was real insults that were told to me like in school. Like, so it's all real stuff. And I think that's what's been the greatest privilege of this film is going to screenings across the country since we premiered at Slam Dance. And we've been going, you know, it's been, you know, especially when you make a film for such little money, like we weren't sure what the reaction would be, but I think right now we're at like almost 20 film festivals we've been playing since January. And it has been an amazing honor to see people in different cities have this reaction, and people come up to us afterwards and say, that's a real conversation I had with my brother, or you know, people from all over. It's all different. It's a lot of people from the African diaspora, but also people from other children of immigrants from different places. So just to put that authenticity in there, you know, it's that very corny thing of the more specific, the more universal. But I just talked about these real things that happened to me, and it really was resonating with people, you know, children of immigrants from all different backgrounds.
The dialogue though was just like, I mean, I was just there. I felt like I was like this, like, you know, kind of bird's eye third brother, just kind of sitting with them almost in a weird way. It was like, it felt very personal, which I love. Almost the way you drew us in as well. But let's go into your actors, and it's ironic that there's, you know, 6 degrees separation. I actually remember the conversation of Mete even going for this particular role before I even met you, and I'm like, oh, I love all these turn of events. But your actors, like, I mean, they're amazing. Yeah. How is it for you in the casting process, and then discovering these two brothers, and obviously your ensemble cast? But I mean, they killed it, they nailed it, everything.
Yeah, I mean, the two leads, Dylan Day and Mutiaba and Mete Nasi, are, you know, I think my greatest honor is to be able to make a film that showcases, like you said, just how good they are. I think especially with a film like this, it's all performance. It's so much dialogue and so much talking that if you don't believe these brothers, if they can't deliver these lines with the nuances that they deserve, I think it could be a very bad situation very quickly. But I was very lucky. I think casting for me is like the most important part of the process because, you know, one of the beauties of being a director is that you hire talented people and then everyone goes, oh, you're a genius. But really, it's like their work that they've done that made me look very, very good. And, you know, with Omete, I had worked with him on my thesis film, the Mass Ave, with my dad. And what's funny is he was applying to Juilliard on the set of that thesis film in between takes. And then with Dylan, I watched his tape. And I had told Omete, I'm going to make a micro-budget feature, and I'm going to come back. I want you to shoot it. And so he came back in between his first summer and second year at Juilliard, or second and third, but in the summer of his years at Juilliard, and shot this film. And he told me, he was like, you know, most directors say they're going to actually, you know, call me for another thing, but you actually did it. And it was wonderful to have him come back. And I watched Dylan's tape, and in terms of like serendipity, what I found out was that Dylan actually had just also gotten into Juilliard, and he was assigned as Omete's little brother mentor. So in the film,
so crazy,
in the film they play Big Brothers the other ways, but in real life he's his big brother mentor at Juilliard. So you know, I think there was definitely some good energy and some, you know, serendipity happening that also allowed them to have just a great relationship and then a great performance on screen.
Oh my! I mean, it was just like there were so many moments in there, and just moments of silence and moments of just how they just, you know, you could feel so much between. It was powerful. It's very powerful. How is it for you, Omar, in this context of, you know, again, it's taken from your own personal experience with your own brother and kind of own experiences. How did you work with them as a director on this particular project? Because, you know, obviously you've got a lot of background experience, you wrote it, but how did you work with them in this particular film?
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the wonderful things is, like, you know, I like to take from my idols. And I think for me, it was Asghar Farhadi, who I saw that he has this beautiful film called The Past. And what I learned, I scoured the Blu-rays, and what he did was he created rehearsal processes where they would not go over you don't read the script, you don't do any of that, you just build a relationship, you build a familiarity. And so in his case, there were family members, so they played board games with the kids, the child actors, just to build that comfort level. And so I wanted to take from that. And so even though they had a small relationship, they had met each other, but they hadn't really spent that much time. So in our rehearsal process, what we did was we recreated memories. So things that are talked about in the film, and we recreated those memories in a rehearsal space. We got a private room and had them improv. But what I think is so beautiful about that is it creates a memory bank of of real experiences of them sitting together and going through these emotions. Like, yes, it was improv, but like, you know, when you have great actors, they're able to put themselves into that emotional place. So when they get on screen to set, they've already spent that time. They've already had these conversations. And there's like, for example, one moment in which they talk about on the screen, it doesn't happen in the film, but off screen, a relationship that the little brother came when his big brother broke up with his girlfriend, and he was so worried about him because he was distraught. We recreated that in the improv scenes, and what was crazy is that was based off a real moment in my life, and what Omete and Dylan did when they were improving was a real thing that my brother and I did, which was when he couldn't get through, the little brother just sat next to him and put his arm around him, and they just sat in silence.
Wow.
And so we're sitting in the rehearsal, I'm tearing up, and like, you know, art imitates life. They really recreated that, and they had no idea that's what really happened. But I think that's really how we prepare for the role. I think what helps them feel so lived in, because they have actually kind of had these lived experiences with one another.
But that's also down to your, you know, really incredible direction as well. I mean, it really was very, very well directed, and I just felt like you just, you know, you kind of just raised these brothers and just let them shine, you know, through how we visually got to experience it as well. You know, it's such a journey, especially. I mean, I know you're making films about your family, so I know no one's safe, obviously. But in the context of going on that journey with your experience and your brother, turn this not only into just a film but a feature film. And how has this experience been for you on this journey with this film? Like, what has that experience been like?
Well, it's been so nice. Like, I think when it particularly relates to my brother, what I love about my films is like all my films are about someone, you know, like in my family, like I said. And I think what's nice is when you're writing yourself, but you also have to write their character. And I think it's like this wonderful therapeutic exercise where instead of seeing things from my view, if I'm writing a character and I want to do service to the character, I have to write it from their view as well. So I wrote this, and one of the things I really love is my brother is like, he's a part of my think tank. So he's one of the first people who read the first draft. And I remember I sent it to him, and he goes, you know, I like it. It's really good, but I feel like the little brother just idolizes the big brother right now. Like, he just thinks he's amazing. And it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, so there was a bias that I had that I didn't even realize. And then I had to go into the second draft of the script and really try to really look myself in the mirror and be like, what are the things that my brother is annoyed about or doesn't like about, and you kind of craft it that way. So I think that was a beautiful like learning experience in terms of like writing a first draft of the script that is speaking to him and, you know, a version of him, and hearing his response and then trying to get that right. But I think the journey, a really special moment is when we went to Slam Dance and premiered. My brother came with me, and the moderator was like, let's bring him up. And they brought him up on stage, and he did the Q&A with me, and that was, it's making me emotional thinking about it now. That was like a really nice moment to have him up there answering questions about the Q&A. That is a film that's about us, and I think for us. I think the film is kind of a testament to our love. So that was a really special moment for me.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love that he got to experience that moment with you as well. That's beautiful. You know, I'm sure you had a lot of feelings and thoughts when you were going into how you wanted your audience to sort of, and what you wanted your audience to experience and take from your film. But like, what? I mean, again, there's so much context to your film. I mean, it's hard to sort of almost summarize. But like, what did you want your audience to experience from your film?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the shifting dynamic of brotherhood. And I think even more so the shifting dynamic of relationships, which is like, I think sometimes you can go into a relationship thinking that it has to be one way. In my case, I'm the hero, I'm the example, and to have my little brother who became the hero and became the example and taught me stuff about myself, that was really an important moment to me. And that moment that is based off my real life really did shift the way I saw him and perceived him. So I think the most important thing for me is to just realize that relationships evolve and they change. And to realize that people also, even if they are a hero, are fallible, and you can still love them through those hard moments, push them to be better. I think that's really the biggest thing, is that, you know, people aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. My brother isn't perfect. But what I can say is that we'll definitely push each other to be the best version of ourselves as we continue on this journey.
Oh, Omar, I mean, you really did capture all of that and so much more. I mean, you could do a study on this feature film, but I mean, it's, you know, I'm so glad that you kind of brought that to light, because obviously a lot of people have, obviously, you know, whether you have a chosen family or actual family, siblings, those different dynamics and how much we teach you, but also just in a short space of time, how we can heal and learn and grow with each other. You know, it's, I mean, this one particular moment that got brought together, you know, and they became enhanced brothers with each other forevermore. You know, it's one of those moments in life that you just captured, that you remember in your own experience, like, oh, that was the shift, that was the moment in our relationship, which you just captured so well.
Thank you so much.
Omar, what's next? Where are you going? Where are we going?
Yeah, well, you know what's next? I mean, what's been beautiful is this reaction the film has gotten. So the film actually is available on Amazon Prime to buy and to rent. If anyone
Everyone
wants to see
should watch it.
Yes, please do.
Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime, African Giants. You can buy it and rent it right now, and it's going to be up there for the foreseeable future. So we would love you guys to check it out. We have some more festivals coming up, so you can follow us on Instagram at African Giants Film just to see our festival journey.
Yeah.
So that's really what's going on with the film. But with me, I think the beautiful thing is I've really now worked in this indie space. Everything I've done has been like super indie, super micro budget, and I'm really excited about taking these stories but putting them into the commercial, putting them into the mainstream.
Yeah.
I think I always tell people that my goal is to take African storytelling and really put it together into the mainstream so that people can, like you said, see these experiences, see our culture on screen, but also see it in genres they haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So I have a sci-fi thriller right now that I just had a short for that I'm developing the feature-length version of it, and then I also am developing an action thriller called it's like a Man on Fire. It's called Abidjan, but it's about my relationship with my older sister, and so it's always going to be that's at the core of it. But now it's going to be in a Taken, it's like a Man on Fire type thriller. So I'm really excited about taking these to bigger genres and playing in bigger sandboxes with these stories.
I just want to meet all your family now. I love your family. They're all part of your next projects, which I love. And I think that's really, truly wonderful. And I'm sure they're extremely proud of you. Well, listen, thank you so much to all of your cast and your crew and everybody involved with African Giants. But thank you so much, Omar, for bringing this wonderful film to light. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for the great interview and for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Omar, everybody. Thank you very much.